Hello everyone, it's Alex again, back here with another video in my high school wrestling rule series. As you saw by the video thumbnail and the link description, like I say every time that I do a video, this video is on one of the most ticky-tacky, most misunderstood, misinterpreted rule and sections and subsections and exceptions and all that good stuff that a lot of people don't know about. So a lot of people that come to the coaches, newer wrestlers, parents, even people that's been around the sport since the Harry S. Truman presidential administration, they don't really know about this. And this is where a lot of issues come in. Last year, I was doing a regional tournament. I'm not sure how your state is set up as far as postseason goes, but in Kentucky, you have your regional tournament. The top 4 place winners from that region go on to the state meet. There's 8 regions. That's a 32-man bracket. You may have conferences or districts or sectionals or whatever the case is, but we had a case of bad time, which I'm going to explain one of the exceptions here. And I had a parent decided to call the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, the commissioner, Mr. Tackett, and Mr. Tackett, I guess, from there called the assistant commissioner over wrestling, which is Mr. Barron, Mike Barron. Mr. Barron got a hold of me at the regional meet, wanted to find out what went on, and of course everything was like it's supposed to have been. The coach for the team that had the bad time called against them didn't have a single issue. He knew exactly what was going on once I showed him the rule book and, hey, this is what we need to do to fix it. Everybody was cool, but I guess the wrestler's parent or grandparent or somebody decided to make a phone call, and I had to call and explain what happened, which of course I was right. I will tell you, and I know this is not a good way to start a video out, this material is very dry and very boring, but I'm going to do my best to make it as entertaining as possible and as informational as possible. A lot of you guys like my training buddy from last time, so he's going to get to stay with us today, and he's going to get to help me go over this topic. So sit back, let's do this. As always, I like to give you guys the rule and the section, even the article in some cases, from the latest edition of the NFHS rulebook. This is the 2019-2020 rulebook. The bad time definition is the first actual section in the rule of chapter number 5, which is the definitions. So you got Rule 5, Section 1, and it's called bad time. Now, forgive me, I know the rule, but I don't know it word for word, so I'm going to read it out of the book. That way, there's no misunderstanding here. Article 1. Bad time is wrestled with the wrestlers in the wrong position or the wrong wrestler being given the choice of position. A, at the start of the third period. B, at the start of the 30-second tiebreaker. C, at the start of the ultimate tiebreaker. D, after the opponent has taken his or her second injury timeout. Or E, on the next restart after the opponent receives a 2-point stalling penalty. Okay, now I'm going to insert a video here. What you just saw is a typical scene you've probably seen 1,000 times if you've been to wrestling meets. It's just 2 wrestlers going out of bounds. Now, as you saw, the little clip I put in, the second situation was the correct one. The first one, the wrong wrestler was brought back to the center in the referee position and was put in the down position when he should have been on top. Okay, now, if we would have let that continue to have wrestled, if they would have wrestled the whole period, that whole period would have been what's called bad time. Article 2. Bad time involves time that occurs when A clock should have been stopped at the end of a period, or wrestling has been allowed to continue following a violation when the match should have been stopped. Now we know what the violations are: legal hold, technical violations, unnecessary roughness, unsportsmanlike conduct. All those, I have a series on that, or a video for its own each section there. But that's also considered bad time. Article 3. Any points, penalties, or injury time that occur during bad time shall be voided with the exception of. Now let me say that again. I'm going to put the screen text up. Any points, penalties, or injury time. Now we know there's the injury time, blood time, recovery time. Now we have the concussion time. So it's points, penalties, and injuries with the exception of flagrant misconduct. We know flagrant misconduct is automatic ejection. Unsportsmanlike conduct fouls, which we know the sign for unsportsmanlike conduct. Unnecessary roughness. The illegal hold, which is the full Nelson signal. And blood time. So your 5 minutes of blood time. If you use however many minutes in bad time, you don't get that back. You do injury, but you don't your blood time. This is a very ticky-tacky rule right here. This article, we're still in Rule 5, Section 1, but this is Article 4. Errors requiring bad time to be re-wrestled must be corrected prior to the start of any subsequent period. All right, now what that means is if we're in the first period and we don't notice, or for whatever reason we have a mistake, we give the wrestler the wrong choice. If we don't catch it till the third period, well, guess what? You're hit. Kind of like in football, if the ball snapped, like NFL and college, if the ball snapped before the replay booth get a chance to buzz down or the coach gets to throw the red flag and review it, you pretty much lost your case. If the wrong wrestler is given the choice of position at the start of the second period or at the start of the 30-second tiebreaker in overtime, no re-wrestling is required. The opponent may be given the choice at the start of the third period or at the start of the 30-second tiebreaker in overtime. Now, as you know, we got our handy-dandy green and red-sided flip disc. So if you flip the disc at a tournament, you're a referee, or even at a dual meet, and you aren't keeping up with who's odd and who's even, who has the choice, you can let, if it goes to the next period, you can give the other wrestler the choice, either in the second or the third period if you give it to them the wrong second, or in the 30-second tiebreaker if it goes that far. Now, we're going to move to Rule 6, Section 6, and I'm going to cover all the articles here. This is where it gets boring. So here's a video of me falling off my roof on a ladder. Yeah, that used to be my intro. Some of you guys I'm sure familiar with it, have seen it before if you watch any videos. I just want to throw it in there. Maybe you haven't seen it. Just wanted to give you a little mental break here. Rule 6, Section 6 is even titled Correction of Errors. We're going to start with Article 1. Errors requiring bad time to be re-wrestled must be corrected prior to the start of any subsequent period. If the wrong wrestler is given the choice of position at the start of the second period or at the start of the first 30-second tiebreaker in overtime, no re-wrestling is required. The opponent may be given the choice at the start of the third period or at the start of the second 30-second tiebreaker in overtime. So basically just covered that, but this rule just gives it to you again that way because it is a correction of error if needed. Article 2. When an error occurs in positioning wrestlers, now like the video, you guys, a little video of the wrestlers going out of bounds, and I explained it. I'm going to give it to you. It's Article 2. At the start of the third period, at the start of the second 30-second tiebreaker, at the start of the ultimate tiebreaker, after the opponent has taken his or her second injury timeout, or on the next restart after the opponent receives a 2-point stalling penalty. Now there's a note here. All points earned during bad time are canceled. Exceptions in that, like we know what they are, exceptions. Rule 5, Section 1, Article 3. Now in the start of the third period, the second 30-second tiebreaker, at the start of the ultimate tiebreaker, following corrections made and the rest of 1 minute, the period shall be re-wrestled. If the opponent takes a second injury timeout or the opponent has been hit with their third stalling penalty. In other situations, when it is bad time and the amount of bad time can be determined by the referee, bad time shall be deleted and or re-wrestled without delay. So basically, at the start, if the wrong wrestler is given the choice to start of the third period, at the start of the second 30-second tiebreaker, or at the start of the ultimate tiebreaker, you get a 1 minute rest period. If it's just from the second injury timeout or the 2-point stalling call, which is actually the third penalty, there is no break for having to re-wrestle that. This article in Rule 6, Section 6 is dealing with the timekeeper. When the timekeeper makes an error or the clock fails to start when the referee indicates time to begin, the referee shall make a judgment according to the amount of time that should have been consumed. The referee will adjust the clock accordingly. Errors must be corrected prior to the start of the subsequent period. So, if you're at a meet, referee gives a signal for a start. For whatever reason, the clock malfunctions. The scorekeeper, for whatever reason, misses it. And the referee thinks 15 seconds went by, then 15 seconds will be removed. It's not you go up to the coach and ask, hey Coach A, what do you think? 15 seconds? Coach B, oh, you think 5 seconds? Well, let's split the middle and go 10. It's the referee's judgment. We're going to move into the dual meet correction of errors scoring. Rule 6, Section 6, Article 4. This is Exemption A, numbers 1 and 2. It's a crazy, I don't know. Dual meet scoring errors by the referee or official scorer. The match score. Now remember, there's match points and there's team points. This is for the match points. Errors by the timekeeper, official scorer, or referee must be corrected prior to the offended contestant leaving the mat area and before the start of the next match on that mat if additional wrestling is necessary. So everybody needs to be on the toes on that. If the wrestler leaves the mat, the next match starts, there's an error, well, you walked off the mat, the match is over with. I don't know what to tell you, it's over. If additional wrestling is not necessary, the error may be corrected as long as the offended contestant or coach remains in the mat area after the match has concluded and before the start of the next match on that mat. Errors involving the computation of match scores must be corrected within 30 minutes after the conclusion of the dual meet. If the error necessitates additional wrestling, it must be corrected prior to the start of the next match. So what that means is, if you have a scorekeeper with your team and the official scorekeeper, if you have a discrepancy, the team score may have 7-5 and the table may have 6-6 for whatever reason. You need to go over to the table. Hey, what's going on here? What's the deal? You have reversal, figure it out, go from there. If somebody's made an error, we can fix it. Now this is for the team score in dual meets. Errors involving the recording or computation of team scores must be corrected within 30 minutes of the conclusion of the dual meet. Note, it is the coach's responsibility to know the team score at the conclusion of the dual meet. Any discrepancies must be reported within 30-minute time frame following the conclusion of the dual meet. Now remember, match points, team points. We know the team points, you get 6 points for a fall, 6 points for a forfeit, 6 points for a default, you have your tech pin, 5 points are major decisions, 8 to 14 points in under decisions, 7 points or less or 3 points. That is your team point computation. The head coach needs to know what's going on and needs to know the actual score. That way, in case there is a discrepancy, it can be solved. This is Rule 6, Section 6, Article 5. Tournament scoring errors by the referee or official scorer. Match score. Errors by the timekeeper, official scorer, or referee must be corrected prior to the offended contestant leaving the mat area and before the start of the next match on that mat if additional wrestling is necessary. So basically the same as a dual meet. If additional wrestling is not necessary, the error may be corrected as long as the offended contestant or coach remains in the mat area after the match has concluded and before the start of the next match on that mat. Same exact wording as a dual meet. Errors involving computation of the match score must be corrected prior to the next match in which either wrestler competes. If the error necessitates additional wrestling, it must be corrected prior to the offended contestant leaving the mat area and prior to the start of the next match on that mat. So this is what happened to me. We were using a computer system. I'm not sponsored by that, so I'm not going to say its name, but it's a pretty common way to track wrestling, if you get the pun there. What happened was, for whatever reason, the system didn't switch over, didn't have the right time amount in. We were in constellation rounds, and it's supposed to be 1-2-2 instead of 2-2-2. The clock still had 2-2-2 on it. I didn't, I guess, pay attention like I should have. The other coaches didn't. The timekeeper, everybody kind of just missed it. The person I told you about that made the phone call to the commissioner's office, their wrestler got a fall, but it was like 10 seconds after the 1 minute time period. So what happened was the kid got his near fall points like he should have, made it 5-0, but he ended up losing on points at the end of the match. So again, it was bad time. It was corrected before they left the mat, and it was corrected before the start of the next match. So the coaches involved, myself, the scorer, the timekeeper, everybody was in agreement. There was just one parent that wasn't too happy. You're not going to make everybody happy, but at least we were in the rules. Team score. Errors involving the recording or computation of team scores must be corrected within 30 minutes of the official posting of team scores. Meaning, if there's a championship, which most tournaments there is a team championship awarded, if a coach has a gripe or a discrepancy, hey, I've got my team with 219.5, I should be in second place instead of what you got me at 218. 1.5 points sometimes can be the difference between state championship and coming in second. There's a note though, just like with the dual meet, it is the coach's responsibility, not the officials. It is not the referee's responsibility to keep up with the team score. That is not what we are for. Coach's responsibility to know the team scores at the conclusion of the tournament. Any discrepancy must be reported within a 30-minute time frame following the conclusion of the tournament. So, like we know in previous videos, a dual meet ends when the referee signs the last score sheet. A tournament ends whenever the referee signs the last bout sheet for whatever weight they're finishing up on. So remember that. I have a video on coach misconduct, which we know what that signal is. It's a fist out to the side, fist in front is unnecessary roughness. The hand out to the side is unsportsmanlike, but the fist out to the side is coach misconduct. This is Article 6. When a coach believes the referee has misapplied a rule or disagrees with judgment, the coach may approach the scores table, request the match be stopped when there is no significant action, and discuss the matter with the referee directly in front of the scores table. Both wrestlers shall return and remain in the 10-foot circle. If the referee has misapplied a rule, necessary adjustments will be made. An explanation to the opposing coach will be made, and wrestling will immediately be resumed. If there is no error or the coach disagrees with the referee's judgment, the coaching staff will be penalized for coach misconduct. The first time it occurs, the dual meet is a warning. The second time is a deduction of 1 team point, And the third time, the head coach is removed from the premises for the remainder of the remainder of the day. Not just if it's a 2-day, he can come back the next day. But if it's, early in the morning, you're out for that day, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. And there's 2 team points deducted whenever he's ejected. So the first coach misconduct is a warning. The second you get hit with is 1 point. The next one you get hit with is your last. It's 2 team points, and you're removed from the gym for the rest of the day. I know that was a very boring video to sit through, but if you made it this far, thank you for sitting through and watching it. It's a very valuable information. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. I just dread doing it because I know it is so dry and so boring, but need to be done. Just a couple of little things, and I'm going to get off here and let you guys go back to your lives of not listening to me gripe about bad time. Couple major causes for bad time to happen. You flip the disc, whatever, in a tournament. The coach comes to the table and has a question. You flipped it. You may give the wrong team the green, up, down, neutral, defer, when it should have been red's choice or vice versa. Like the little video I showed you, wrestlers go out of bounds, there's injury time, there's blood time, whatever the case is. And I'm not saying you lose focus, but I've done it. I mean, just about every referee's done it. You've come back, and I always verbalize stuff, and I always make sure, if you've ever seen your referee, most of you probably haven't, but I'll put a little clip in here just to show you what I'm talking about. When we go out of bounds, I always make sure that I make eye contact with whoever is down and say, red, you're down. You're green, you're down. And as I walk them back to the center, I point with the color that should be, that's down. Now if we have blood time, whatever, what I'll do is I'll take my disc and I'll put it in either in my pocket, or I'll put it in my wristband with whatever color should be down with the flip disc. That way I can look, okay, green, you had the disc, you're down, let's go. That way, something you kind of pick up, just a little food for thought there if you're a new official or even an experienced official that really maybe needs an idea of how to cure that problem, because it will happen. So, thank you for sitting through. Me and my training partner going to get some work in, and we'll see you guys on the mats.